Yeah, thank you all for that. I will quickly move to the final and what I think is one of the most highly anticipated sessions for this convening, which is our PI17 Mojaloop Community Awards. Give me a signal if you can see the slide deck.
Yes.
Anyone? Awesome. So this is something I'm very, very excited about. And this is, I also want to just call out Megan Cannon for doing a lot of the work and helping me figure this out throughout most of last year. I want to provide some context. I want to start by giving a few statistics. One simple statistic that I want to share with you is that as of today, the total number of members in our community is 2,220. That's a big number, but it gets smaller when you consider the total number of active members in the Mojaloop community, 624. So what defines active? When we think about active, we look at the platforms where most of the community activity happens. We look at GitHub, we see things like, was a pull request opened? Did you open an issue? Did you create a fork? Did you comment on an existing issue? Did you start a repository? Did you have a pull request merged? If you look at Slack, we check, did you send a message? Did you reply to a thread? Did you join a channel? We, however, do filter out comments like hi. The messages we're looking at in Slack are messages that contribute to the development of the Mojaloop ecosystem, platform and ecosystem. We look at discourse. Did you create a topic? Did you create a post? So all this data is automatically pulled into a nifty little tool that we call Orbit, and it allows us to see the pulse of our community. What's happening in the community, who's active, who's not, where is all the stuff happening. The majority of our activity actually happens on GitHub. So that's something that you should know. This is what we have done in the recent past. We are trying to categorize our community into four essentially teams. One, at Orbit 0 or level 0, that's a team that's essentially Canon and Megan and myself. In level 1 or Orbit 1, we have builders, Orbit 2 contributors, Orbit 3 participants, and the outermost level, you're looking at explorers. So let's try and figure out what all this means and how it affects our award ceremony right now. In the outermost orbits, these are explorers. These are people in our community who've read our blog posts, the newsletter, they've watched videos on the YouTube channel, they've attended our meetings. I see some new names, familiar names in the chat and some new ones as well. Or they simply have just, messed around with the Mojaloop code. These members are not fully activated members of our community, at least not yet, but they're passively interested and form a huge chunk of our audience. And it's our goal to get them to the next level, which is participants. The second outermost layer in our orbit. These individuals essentially have navigated the on-ramp into the community, and they're essentially trying to establish a track record of activity of participation. You will see them making lightweight contributions like fixing documentation or volunteering for a small task. And our goal is to get even more of these participants to become contributors. The contributors are somewhat in the closest to the core in a sense where they take on more time-intensive, higher impact roles in the community. These are the folks you'll find contributing to 2 to 3 days a week in the reference architecture or the vNext workstream. You will see them also offline advocating for Mojaloop, giving talks, hosting small events, such as the 40-Day 40 FinTech initiative that High People run in Uganda, and so on and so forth. They're also very consistent. These are people who are generally recognized in the community, and they have the culture and the ethos that the community expects. There are a number of these people here. Most of these, you can see them in the chat, in the participants list for this event. A number of people fall in the contributors category. Then we've got the innermost category, which is the builders. These ones have a very, very high passion and love for this community, and they take on important challenges. They often play leadership roles, participating in our governance groups, vying for those positions and actively participating in those governance meetings. They are known to many other members, and many people often look to them for guidance and for help. And they often head one or more large groups inside of the community, whether that's a governing group, a governance group, whether that's a work stream. They are often at the forefront, giving direction and showing, the way. And these are folks that we really appreciate in our community. So what do the numbers look like? The last level is the orbit team. These are the folks that are essentially responsible for the community. Basically, that's Megan and myself. In our community, this is how we can break down the total of 624 active participants. We have 12 builders. We've got 28 contributors. That brings us a total of 30, give or take. And those are the folks you will mostly see on our Zoom call. So if you've been paying attention to the participants, the number of participants in every session, it's usually about 40 people, give or take. Those are primarily your builders and your contributors. Then you've got participants, who are 74 in our community. You've got explorers, the majority, who are 156. Folks who are passively paying attention to Mojaloop. And then we've got another huge chunk, more than half, who are pretty much nowhere. They're sort of just within the periphery, and our goal is to try and get them to become explorers, to get the explorers to become participants, to get the participants to become contributors, and to get the contributors to become builders. So one of the questions that I want to pose to each and every one of you in this community is, sort of figure out where along this spectrum do I find myself, and what do I need to do to, help get yourself and others down that chain and be an active contributor and builder. One of the ways we thought about is by having an awards, a way to incentivize and to recognize those people in our community who make an excellent contribution to the Mojaloop ecosystem, to the Mojaloop code base and ecosystem. And so I initially had 3 awards, but I've simply added two more categories. The first one is we want to recognize folks who've contributed big time to the Modular training program through the Modular training program workstream that's led by Jane Stroken. Then I also do want to take some time to acknowledge security contributors. In the last year, there are many people who have reached out to us, sharing bugs, sharing security issues. And if you don't know how to do that, you can report that to security@mojaloop.io. That's how we know what's happening on the security realm. So I do want to recognize the folks who've taken that time to play around with Mojaloop and help us identify any security lapses. I think it's important that we do that. Some of them are here today. And then we also want to have recognize active community members, those who are participating on our various platforms. That's GitHub, Slack, and Discourse. Then we've also taken note of new and promising members. Actually, there are a number of them in our event who have participated in our event this week. Some on this list are actually on here right now, so it will be very exciting to recognize them. And these are the folks that we hope we can get to become participants and contributors and builders. And then the last category is we'll give a list of organizations in our community that are very active. You might think you know them, but shock on you. You might be surprised. So let's start with the Modular training program. This is awards. I wish I had the drum roll. This is for recognizing community members who contributed significantly in the development of new courses. For the testing toolkit course, I would like to recognize and congratulate Sam Komari and Vijay Guti for their work they really put in a lot of effort to bring the testing toolkit course live. Do acknowledge their work and appreciation by going to the Mojaloop training program website and taking the course and giving us feedback. It would be great. So to Sam and Vijay, thank you so much for your time and your sacrifice to get the testing toolkit course up and running. We appreciate that effort. The next course is the Hub 209 course. There's a huge list of people who participate in this. Jacques Vogt, John Muthiora, Paul Baker, and Rakesh Shukla. Most of these folks, I know John Muthiora is in the chat. I think I saw him there. Paul's around. These folks actively participated in the development of the Hub 209 course. And we are very, very grateful for your contribution. It is acknowledged. Thank you so much. The last course is the DFSP 209 course. This was also done by two names up here again, John Muthiora and Paul Baker. Thanks, John. John, if I'm not mistaken, it's 5:40. John may be driving and stuck in traffic, Nairobi traffic. But John, thank you. And Paul, thank you for leading the charge and getting the courses done. This work was done purely voluntary. Anyone in our community, I do encourage you, please step up if you've got knowledge in any of the priority courses that we're hoping to do in this year, which includes an executive series course, DFSP 204 and Hub 204. Please step up, reach out to us, reach out to myself, to Megan, or to Jane, or Paul. We'll be able to help you get going with course development. So to all the folks that have spent a lot of time and input to get us 3 new courses at the beginning of this new year, thank you so much. We appreciate, and applause, 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 or a round of applause, literally. Let's go to security contributors. These are folks, people in and around our community who've contributed significantly in identifying and resolving security issues. Those folks are, drum roll, Sahil, forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Sahil Fail, Gaurang Maheta. Thank you, Sahil. Sahil Fale, Gaurang Maheta, Cheyenne Elahi, and Kunal Haske. These are folks who have spent time on their own will, literally. Just send us an email and say, hey, we found a security lapse here, please fix it. And also want to extend a thank you to the security team, the platform and
thank you so much.
Which is led by Godfrey and a few others responding that. Sahil is here with us today. Sahil, thank you so much for joining us as well. And thank you so much for your contribution. That's something I'm very, very glad. And we're hoping that we can have you formally join our community and contribute to making Mojaloop more secure. Thanks.
Sure, thank you.
Excellent. Let's go. Active community members. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that these statistics cover January to December 2021. So we decided to do a bumper harvest this year, this quarter for this convening, but for future convenings, we'll be focusing on the last quarter. So next convening, we'll be giving statistics for active community members in between January and April. Is it March or April? April. So February and April, sorry. So in terms of the active community members, I'll break them down by quarter. So in Q1 of 2021, the top 3 active community members are Louis Daly, Kevin Liao, and Samuel Kumari. Congratulations, folks. The other 7 people right behind them, Powell Marzek, Vijay Guti, Miguel de Barros, Godfrey Kutumela, Sridhar, that is his GitHub handle. We were not able to get the actual name, but Shashi and Valentin Genev. Those folks between in Q1 of 2021 were the most active community members, contributing codes, resolving issues on GitHub, participating in meaningful conversations in Slack. I assure you, we did not count Lewis's funny jokes on Slack. So Keep that in mind. So let's go to quarter two. Quarter two, Kevin edges Lewis. So Kevin was our most active community member in quarter two of 2021. Kevin Liao, Miguel de Barros, Lewis Daly. And then the others behind the three are Sam Kumari, Vijay Guti, Dorota Moskowicz. I was very surprised and happy to see that name. Valentin Genev, Bukasa Amy, Powell Marzek, and Professor James Bush, as Mr. Michael Richards likes to call him. So these were in quarter two of 2021, our most active community members. Quarter three, Miguel tops the list, Miguel de Barros, Louis Daly, and Sam Kumari. Behind them is Vijay Guti, Kevin Liao, Matt Kingston. Paul Baker shows up, Professor Bush is also on the list. Pedro is there, as well as Michael Wagner. Most of these guys should be in the participants list on this call. Congratulations to all of you folks. Excellent work. Thank you so much for your contributions. And the last quarter, topping the list is Louis Daly, second time for the year, Miguel de Barros, and Kevin Liao. And then following down after, we've got Vijay Guti, Sam Kumari, Pedro Barreto, Paul Baker, Matt Kingston, Henrik Carlson, who is the SIG leader for the FSPIOP API, and Mr. Michael Wagner. These are the most active community members in our community in all of 2021, broken down by quarter. We shall be, for the top three winners, active community members, you'll see a post on social media, just acknowledging your contributions. And if you see that, please reshare it. We are more than happy to brag to the rest of the world about how awesome you are. Excellent, moving along. New and promising community members, some of them are in our group today. The new and promising community members, we're recognizing new and promising community members who have engaged actively in the Mojaloop ecosystem. Who are those by quarter? Quarter one of 2021, Joey Goksu, Paul Makin, Johan Nell. We also have in that list, David Mangini, Ross Graham, Jane Stroken, Toulon, Paul Luchtenberg, I believe, Michael Dubkidis, and Matt Bohan. Thank you so much for engaging. And that was Q1 2021. A lot of the names here, I've probably since then moved away from this list, from the new and promising category to the more active ones. But that was the states, that's the data we have for that quarter. Quarter two, Johnny Esterhuizen, who I believe is amongst us today. Spooner NZ, that is a GitHub handle. We're not able to find the proper name, as well as Gulet Flutter, that's also a GitHub handle. Kehinde Adeoya, Stefan Prinsloo, M. Buthia, which is Michael Buthia. I believe he's with us today. Vladimir Yarovoy, Alpha Olomi, Joshua Mabina, and Alex Levy. These are new and promising community members. If you see them hanging around our community, please pull them in. We'd like them to be more active contributors and builders. Thank you so much for finding us and for contributing. We're happy to have you. The next quarter three, Paul Baker, Michael Wagner, Chris Milaw. Chris Milaw is a GitHub handle, as is ORCR, Tom Daly, Amy Bukasa, Vijay Kumar Guti, Jason Brewer, Fugu 13 is a GitHub handle, and Thin Win representing FitSOX. Those were the new and promising community members in terms of the most active. Thank you so much for your contributions and for all your work. And then the final quarter is Alfred Ochola, Hutchen GTW, that's a GitHub handle, Nikki, a GitHub handle as well, Kozima Services, Kadidia Nyangado, I think I saw Kadidia at some point, Dirk Slabat, Elijah Okello, Chetan Manjashwar, Brian Schneider, and Jason Gregory. These are the folks who were most active in terms of new and promising community members in our community in Q4 of 2021. This data, again, to remind you, is pulled from GitHub, Discourse, and Slack. So the more active you are there, the more you can the more meaningful participation you have on those platforms, the more we're able to see here. So congratulations to all these folks. Again, you will see on social in the coming days, if not today, posts that recognize your contributions. Please feel free to share this. We'll be bragging about you, and we want the whole world to know how awesome you are. So thank you again, and please do stay around and hang around with us. Active organizations. These are recognizing organizations in our community that are actively contributing to the development of Mojaloop and the Mojaloop ecosystem. These organizations are not listed in order of most active. They're listed in alphabetical order, and they are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Crosslake Technologies, Coil, Ericsson, High People like Stego, Modusbox, Reactive, Cybrain, and WebWitch Design Studio. We thank all these organizations for all the amazing work and the time they spend with us and for us. You guys are awesome. Thank you for participating. And so a big congratulations to all our community members who received recognition during the PI-17 community meeting for their outstanding contribution to the Mojaloop open source project. Thank you so much for all that time. Congratulations to all the winners. We will be reaching out to some of you guys in the short term. But thank you so much. At this point, I also want to, I'll stop sharing my screen. I want to pass it quickly to Catherine to also let us know the winner of our trivia tournament for this PI-17. Catherine, you there? All right, so in third place, we have Dr. Michael Richards. In second place, Godfrey Kutumela. And in first place, Samuel Kumari. Congratulations. Sam is our reigning trivia champion, together with Godfrey and Mr. Michael Richards. Congratulations, all folks. I also hope you had fun during this trivia. Next time, please read ahead of time. You've got a whole 3 months to prepare for the April convening. And very excited about that. So thank you, everyone. That brings to a close our community awards session. And I want to quickly pass it to, is Paula here? Yep, Paula to just make her final thoughts as we close. Paula?
I'm here. Thank you, Simeon, and congrats to the trivia winner, Sam. I saw some runner-ups there that look like they'll be nipping at his heels next time around. I have to make the questions harder. Well, I wanted to thank everyone for their participation this week. I know it's a heavy lift and it's a crazy ask on some of the time zones, but meaningful work. And as I've said before, I hope we get to do this live in person soon. So we're looking at April and then again July, and let's hope the travel gods are with us and we can get on planes and see each other face to face again soon. As I mentioned earlier this week, our priorities this year are focused on deployments, grants, and membership. But that doesn't mean that all the other stuff that we do isn't important. Obviously, the development efforts need to continue. Our community engagement and expansion is critically important. So we haven't taken our eye off that. Those two areas are continue to sustain us and are the centerpiece of our work. So I do thank you not only for your development efforts, but all of your efforts in rounding out the offerings that we provide to the marketplace, including the training and of course the heavy lifting the road warriors and ambassadors do on our behalf. We have a new business directory, so we have new partners coming on board that can help us with these deployments. We have some really good new marketing content and tools available to help evangelize the marketplace and tell them more about why Mojaloop, why open source, and how we can all address financial inclusion collectively. So with that, I just want to wish you a very productive year for 2022. I look forward to our next convening in April, however we may have it. And thank you to Simeon and all the folks on the event team that have helped in the background to make this run smoothly once again. So with that, it's back to you, Simeon.
Thank you so much, Paula. I'll let Miller chime in here. Miller?
Well, thank you. This is another fabulous community meeting. I wish we were all together. That's the only real thing I could hope to improve. Otherwise, we've had great contribution and good progress that is difficult to imagine, actually, given the circumstances. So very happy to see things moving forward so quickly in some of these areas. And it's also heartwarming to see the developing of the community, the new people coming into our orbit. And hopefully the gravity at the center, which is generated by Paula and her team, and the coordination that they provide will start to pull people towards the center. And thank you, Simeon, so much for your ongoing contribution to pulling us together and really making this into the community that it is. That's much appreciated. I have nothing more other than to express my thanks, and we will certainly see you all over the coming PI.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miller. I know Matt is here as well. Matt, do you want to say a quick hello and give a couple of remarks?
Yeah, no, I would echo Miller. So excited to see the progress for this PI and this year and the time that we've been apart. Really looking forward to the next one, and hopefully by then we might have a chance to have it in person. So great to see everybody. Thank you for the work and the progress, and look forward to the work continuing.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt. That's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just 4 minutes shy for the time. We've had an excellent evening. On your way out, please pick a Miller's Burgers on the house. We will see you in April. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.